We're going to get started a little bit early today because of the weather. And I want to give a brief reminder before we begin. Listen carefully, please. We're still taking brick orders through April 1st. We have brick order forms at the table back here, and you can also do that online. April 1st is a firm deadline, so that is the second and final round of brick orders. You can request that your brick be here at this gateway or at the other gateway on Chalkville Road and Hewitt Street. I want to recommend a way for you to drive out today to see all the gateways, especially if you don't live here. If you come out of this parking lot, come to this stop sign right here behind you. You'll take a left on Poplar Street and come up to that traffic light. There's a gateway on your left. Turn left on Chalkville, go downhill, and as you're leaving the residential area of Cahaba Project, look on your right at the green space and right after Magnolia Court on the corner of Hewitt Street before the Baptist Church. So if you get to the church, you've gone too far. If your bricks are not located here, they're over there. All right, welcome. Today is an exciting day. It's a day that recognizes our past and our present in a very visible and tangible way. The name and dates of our historic village, the people honored here by these bricks, and the bronze dedication plaque all tell Trussville's story. By design, the gateways are a beautiful way to welcome people to Trussville's historic district for generations to come. I'm Amy Peterson O'Brien. I have the privilege of serving this historic community and the city of Trussville as the president of the Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation, an educational nonprofit organization that spearheaded this Stone Gateway project in 2022. The Cahaba project is the birthplace of modern-day Trussville. In 1936, this area where we're standing was little more than an idyllic setting along the Cahaba River with an inoperative furnace and heaps of slag and wooden shacks of unemployed furnace workers. Within only 2 years, it had transformed into a modern-day suburban village with streets, cottages, plumbing, parks, and public buildings, street lamps, school children running around, and families renting their homes and farming their lots. We have all learned at some point or another that Birmingham got its nickname, the Magic City, because of its rapid growth, thanks to its limestone and coal and iron in the soil. Birmingham's economy nearly entirely relied on that single industry, and that left it very vulnerable in the time of the Depression. During those years, hard times came to Birmingham earlier and left later than in any other than any other town in the country. This is a reminder to check your cell phones. Silenced. For this reason, many relief efforts during the Great Depression were focused on Birmingham. In fact, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's administration referred to Birmingham as the worst hit town in the country. One of those relief efforts came by way of the U.S. Resettlement Administration that oversaw 100 homestead communities across the country. Most of them were farming communities, but as we know, this one was quite different. By 1934, the Montgomery Advertiser was informing its readers of 4 homesteads planned for the Birmingham and Jefferson County area. A June 1937 article in the Birmingham Post, and we have copies of these laminated that you can see, boast of the good-looking roofs in the Slag Heap Village, heavily galvanized steel shingle roofs made by U.S. Steel. In 1939, The Birmingham Post featured an article about Cahaba's first birthday, and its opening line reads, "Cahaba Homesteads, the only cottage-type, non-agricultural, federal housing community in the United States, started its second year today. We were and we are one of a kind." It wasn't long before the Cahaba Hub, which was a local newspaper, was informing all residents of the latest events and the neighborhood shenanigans. It was the modern-day equivalent of Facebook, or the 1930s equivalent, as it were. The Hub ran from 1938 to 1942. Those issues are chronicled on our website, cahabaheritage.org, as the Homestead headlines, thanks to Gary Lloyd. That local newspaper offers us glimpses into the day-to-day living here in the 1930s and 40s for families and clubs, for school children, for holidays and events, for food and retail bargains, and even anecdotes about living with slag. You did not want to find a piece of slag in your fireplace. Those issues reveal how some things were very different from today and how some things never change. The last issue of the Cahaba Hub mentions the cast for the senior play at the high school, now Cahaba Elementary School. But it also mentions the first air raid drill there, the second and third graders buying defense stamps and collecting scrap metal and tinfoil. It describes blackout practices so that these streets and the entire neighborhood could go black in case of an air raid. It gives the names of sector wardens. Those were local men, local dads, charged with keeping these homes safe in case of those emergencies, and the names of housewives, local moms, tasked with documenting their buying habits to help determine food conservation. That final issue of the Cahaba Hub in January of 1942 ends bittersweetly as the newspaper staff reflect on the great spirit of cooperation that brought neighbors of the Cahaba village together during the toughest of times. It was that same spirit of cooperation that called the Hub staff away from their newspaper to their civilian defense duties as the U.S. entered World War II. This community has seen times of great depression and great cooperation, times of war and peace. This community knows the name of the first baby born here in 1938, who's present today. Collectively, this community has mourned the loss of its daughters and its sons. Collectively, it has prayed and persevered. These homes and this neighborhood have been the backdrop and the heart of nearly 100 years of families living out Alabama history and our nation's history day by day. And that continues today. A thriving historic district like ours is a sign of a city who honors its past as it sees to its future. A historic district is a place where character and tradition play a larger role. And as we gather today to honor the members of our community and dedicate these gateways to those Americans before us who built the Cahaba Project, we want to thank those who have made this possible. First and foremost, I thank my fellow board members of the Cahaba Homestead Heritage Foundation, our secretary, Kathy Freeman, treasurer, Meg Ward, and webmaster, historian, / the jobs could go on, Gary Lloyd, and board member at large, James Patterson. Equally important are you neighbors and volunteers who have made our mission possible the last 3 years in small and big ways. My fingers are cold. We thank each and everyone who purchased the nearly 200 bricks in our first round of fundraising and the 36 and counting that have come since November. Those will be installed by May. We thank our corporate brick sponsors, some of who are represented here today, AmFirst Bank and Amorex Corporation. We want to thank Hero Donuts and Rodney Scott Barbecue for partnering with us today and several previous events. Always a professional and delicious experience. Their partnership really has been instrumental in making strides toward the realization of this goal. So thank you. We want to thank Mayor Choate, City Council members in alphabetical order, Jamie Anderson, Lisa Bright, Perry Cook, Ben Short, and Alan Taylor for their support of this project and the decision to invest in the city's historic district in this important way. We want to thank Tommy Trim and his staff at Trim Design Landscaping for taking on this project. As a member of the community for many years, it was meaningful to Tommy to be a part of this, and I enjoyed working with you and your crew with attention to every detail along the way. We want to thank Senator Shay Shelnut for his support via a grant from the Alabama Department of Tourism for our inaugural Heritage Days, which served as a fundraiser for the Gateways project. We also thank the Trussville Area Chamber of Commerce and Trussville Public Library for partnering with us for Heritage Days as well. We thank the Bell family for donating the bronze plaque that is being unveiled today. The Bell Company got its start in 1946 when Mr. Bell came home from the Navy, and the business moved to Trussville in 1964. Chris Bell, his grandson, could not be here today, but he says, Trussville was a great place to grow up, and I feel blessed to have lived here most of my life. Being a part of this project honors my family's memories. I'm excited to see how Trussville has grown and is a place that many more families can call home. We thank the Reich family for their support of this project. This historic neighborhood is near and dear to generations of the Reich family. For the generous grants that made the Stone Gateways possible, we have the following to thank: Zeke Smith and the Alabama Power Company, Commissioner Joe Knight and the Jefferson County Commission, Representative Danny Garrett and the Jefferson County Community Service Fund. We thank Congressman Gary Palmer for his support of the project and his office, through which we obtained American flags for the gateways. These flags have flown over our nation's capital. The dedication will conclude after the unveiling of the plaque and the raising of the flag. I will now ask Peter Reich to unveil the bronze plaque for us. Thank you, Peter. We officially dedicate the Stone Gateways to the Americans who built the Cahaba project during the Great Depression, honoring the legacy of their labor and service. After the raising of the flag, we invite you to come and read the plaque in its entirety, or perhaps take a photo of it and read it later. I know it's cold. We welcome you to stay and take photos of your bricks and visit. And now I'll ask Secretary Kathy Freeman to raise the flag above the gateway and lead us in the pledge, and that will conclude the dedication. Thank you all so much for coming out. We can perfect it after if we need to. All right, I've got the bottom. Okay.
Join me in the
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.